Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Gunslinger Skillset, which some of you may have heard referred to as the Madness Skillset. I'm like 90% sure it's going to be called the Gunslinger or Gunner. It's probably Gunslinger, that's what I'm going to title this, because I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be. That's what I'm putting my bet on. But yeah, we're going to take a look at the Korean patch notes, which I've done in the past for the Garden, and we're going to sort of have a little look at the Gunslinger Skillset, see what they're going to be adding with this, and the new area as well, because if you've been following the Archeage Twitter, there's been some teasers of what is to come, and I'm pretty sure it's this next area that's going to be bundled up with the Gunslinger. So let's get right into it. Alright, so here we are, here's the Korean patch notes. So some of this is going to be a really rough translation because it's done with Google Translate. So some of this we're going to have to try and interpret and figure out. But as you can see, this is called Madness here. This is what it directly translates to. Again, it's probably not going to be the name of the skill set. Once it comes around, again, I feel like it's going to be Gunslinger. We'll see what happens with that though. But yeah, let's get into it and we'll have a little look. So I've been meaning to look at this for a little while. So here they talk about the addition of the Madness ability and Shotgun, which I assume by this it talks about them as two separate things, but I assume they mean the weapon and the skill set. So the Gunslinger skill set and the new weapons, which they refer to as a shotgun. I mean, as you're gonna see, they don't quite look like shotguns, but I think a lot of the abilities do act in that way. So we actually have like a little trailer here for the new abilities, which I'll probably play at some point throughout this video so you guys can see. But you can see her holding a gun. Maybe we'll make that the thumbnail, I don't know, but it looks pretty cool. So again, it talks a lot about Morpheus, as the Morpheus Chronicles quest lines were kind of the run-up to this skill set. And it mentions here how, unlike bows can perform at a decent range and have a fast fire rate, the shotguns fire multiple bullets and explosives for powerful destructive power, but can't aim over long distances. So you can think of this more like a very close range archer, in a sense, with a lot of cone-shaped AoE sort of abilities. And again, here we have the skills, so I'll like do a zoom in of that, and that's what most of those are going to look like. So you've got your standard abilities, and then you got your 6 passives as well. And here it goes into a bit more, talking about how, you know, this is going to be a class focused on getting in close, doing some very close ranged damage, some AoE, and actually leaving them debuffed by, I believe they're going to have some defense penetration abilities, or abilities that will leave enemies without any defense. So this is what it kind of goes into here, and I think there's going to be 2 of those from what I've been told. So we'll see how they play in. And then here we get a list of all the abilities, which I wish I could translate, but because they're an image, I can't do that here, which is a bit of a shame, and I don't speak Korean. So you can actually get a visual on some of the ranges of these. So this first ability is 15 meters, 17 meters, 25 meters, 17 meters. We get a lot around this range. And then you can also see some of the combos for them as well. You can see the poisoned weapons. You can see the impale. You can see a bunch of stuff here that is going to affect these skills. And when the skill set does come out, I'll go more in depth and we'll look at each of these abilities individually. But right now, while these are still untranslated, I won't. Alright, and here it talks more about the shotgun and how this is going to be the main weapon of the Gunslinger skill set. But it also mentions that bows should be able to use the same skills, and the shotgun should be able to use archery skills. But it looks like you will have a bonus on the shotgun if you use that in the Gunslinger class, and potentially the bows aren't going to do as well, and vice versa. So if you were to use a gun with the archery skill set, you probably won't do as well either. So it is nice to see that there's no restriction on you using a bow with the skill set, but I've been told you'll do like 50% less damage. That's what I've heard, but I'm not 100%. It also looks like they just have different abilities, so the shotguns will leave a different effect than the bows anyway, so there's just, if you're going to go down this skill set, you're going to want a shotgun for it. And here it mentions there's going to be a total of 63 shotguns, including Ancient Raid, Dungeon, and Crafting, all added in this update. So there's going to be a lot of shotguns, and we actually get some visuals on some of these here as well. And they all look really cool. So I do really want to try out this class and give it a go. I may try this out on the fresh start. This is probably going to drop just before the fresh start or around the same time. We'll see. But I do want to give this a go. It looks like it's going to be a ton of fun. But yeah, outside of that, that's all we really get specifically on the shotgun and gunslinger class. I will make a full video on when this comes out, and we'll look at each skill individually, because I think this is going to be a lot of fun. It's cool. I like that the promotional video was very nice for it as well. So I don't know, I'm looking forward to this. We'll see what it's like. Other than that, there's a lot more to go over that I think is going to be bundled in with this patch. So we're going to have race transformation, which lets you change races. This is probably going to be a marketplace item. It's temporary as well, so yeah, it's not a permanent race change. I don't know why they don't have a permanent race change. They should just put it in at this point, since people can exile anyway. Some people just want to be a cat. Some people just want to be a warbon. Whatever they want to be. But yeah, this is probably going to come in. We'll see. But again, it is temporary. So that's the part that's going to suck, especially if they make you pay credits for it. Or diligence. Either way. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this. It might not even come in, but it's probably gonna come along. We'll see. Here you get a little gif of them transforming. It doesn't say how long. I'm going to assume it's going to be a 30-day transformation. That's what we'll go with, but I'm not 100%. Alright, and then we have some mention of them changing the way labor works. And for this, I assume they're talking about labor recharges. So the way that is refreshed, it seems... I think that's what it's saying here. It's very hard to pull out, but it looks like you'll only regain that while offline. It's a lot of mention of servers and how you'll have different labor on servers. So I assume it's talking about what you get from labor recharges, and it looks like you'll potentially only get it when... You'll only potentially reset that while you're offline, I think. But they've said to minimize the inconvenience, the server labor force will be expanded, which I don't know if that means you'll maybe be able to store more labor recharger labor. I'm not actually sure. I don't know if this will even come in or if this is just a Korean thing. But this one's, as you can see, it's got like the bar showing plus 6,000, so I assume that's what it means, but this could just be something over in the Korean version of the game, so I'm not 100% on this. There's then some mention of them changing the gold limit, so the gold limit will now be 1 million gold. There's mention of the resurrection spots being changed around. There's then the mention of them making the austere trade routes a little easier. So they've changed terrain around a little bit here. Listen, when are you going to remove... What I want to know is when they're going to remove the rocks in Sol's Raid. I feel like they've been there for a long time. But I don't know. Then there's also a really cool feature coming in called the Party Duel Link. So you can have parties actually duel each other in like 5v5 scenarios, is what this seems to be saying, which I think is really cool. So if you're into dueling, you can now do it in groups, which is fun. Now then, let's go look at the new area that's coming in and one of the new arenas, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. So let me go switch over to that. Alright, and now we come to the invasion of Mount Ipnir and Nakash. I don't know how anyone's pronounced in Archeage, okay? I butcher every name. But yeah, this is the new area that you will have been seeing teased on the Archeage Twitter and around. So this is going to be a really interesting new area. Now, I'm not sure if you're going to need the Garden expansion to actually access this area, But it looks like it's going to be quite an interesting one because it introduces level scaling. So it changes the difficulty, quite similar to other games like, I guess WoW does that now, and Guild Wars 2, where it'll change the mobs in the area or how tough the mobs are depending on your level. Or gear score, maybe? It doesn't say gear score, but that would make more sense for Archeage. We will see. And they're hoping this allows more people to return to the game and enjoy the update, which is cool. I like to see stuff like that. I think Archeage honestly needs more of that. They need to get better at bringing in newer players. I think that's something I push for a lot. But here we have a few images of the new area, and it's a Return of Fate is what this is titled. Again, I don't know how much of this is gonna be the actual names of areas. So Mount Ipnia sounds like it's probably correct, but we'll see. We'll see what actually turns out. But you get this really nice looking area. It's very foresty, which looks very similar to stuff I've also seen on the Archeage Twitter, so it's probably this area. So this is really cool to see. It looks like this area is going to come with some more story quests as well, going over the Nachash's invasion, I don't listen, I don't know, but it looks like that's what it's going to be going over. It looks like there's going to be potentially more in future updates, but we get some more images of this area, and the area looks really nice. It does look beautiful, so I don't know, this will be cool to explore. And when this comes out, you can bet that I'm going to be looking through it. We then also have some images of the Queen's Altar. But yeah, it mentions the Queen's Altar as an episodic dungeon that can be entered according to the progress of the quest. I assume this means it's going to be a lot like the Delphinad Mirage quests with Amphelon over in the Garden of the Gods. So if you've done those before, you'll have an idea of what this is potentially going to be like. And that's cool to see. Honestly, the Garden of the Gods quests were a massive improvement over the rest of the quests in the game and were actually really enjoyable. I'm really sad that I lost all the footage on that though. That sucks because, I don't know, it was really fun to do. But yeah, there's a mention of how this dimension is merged into a floating island in the center of Mount Ipna. It looks like this name is changing. I think it's Ipna. But yeah. So this is where the dungeon is going to be. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I've heard this is going to be around... It's going to be next to the latest area that came in. Now Song and Myth's Reign. It's going to be around there, up in that top left is apparently where this area is going to be. Which makes a lot of sense considering. And here it's talking about the buff that you're going to get in the area to make the mobs easier to deal with if you're a lower level. And stuff along those lines. Also, you may notice that this person is Ancestral 70. That's because the cap has also been moved up to Ancestral 70 with this patch. So, I don't think anyone's even hit 55 yet, but that looks like where the cap is gonna be. So that'll be fun to see. But again, yeah, the general idea behind this is that anyone could enjoy this content without having to gear up for it, which is nice. It would have been nice to see the Garden do that as well, but looks like they probably learned from the Garden that the more people that can enjoy the content, the more people that are going to purchase it. So yeah, this will be cool to see. Hopefully they integrate more things like this throughout Archeage, because I think it's something that's needed, honestly. You do need to bring in newer players, you need to make it more appealing. So it's a good idea overall. And then there's some mention of the cash tokens, which are earned through quests, invasion battles, and defeating monsters up in the area, and this allows you to get various items. You've got the winged elixirs, you've got, I don't know what these are actually. I actually do know what these are. We'll get to these in a moment. There's also the Lunar Charms and Honor Forged Metals, but there's various things you can spend these tokens on that are going to be very useful. Now, it does mention that what's in the shop is randomly determined, and each product can only be purchased once. So they reset every day at midnight, and if you're lucky, the merchant can exchange the same product at a lower price, so the prices are going to change as well. So this is something you're going to have to, keep an eye on, and maybe be careful about what you spend your tokens on and when you spend your tokens. So that's interesting. There's then talk about the Nakash invasion, which is they seem to be the antagonists of this new area. So there's gonna be an actual rift for these guys 3 times a week, I believe, which we'll get to in a moment, but you get some images of them all here. And here we go. The invasion that appears for the first time, it occurs 3 times a week, and the appearance changes from start to the final stage, so I assume this is going to be kind of like Crimson Rifts on a bigger scale. That might be one way to think of them. The signs of the rift changes begin to take place, and the airs come together. Okay. The airs being the players. Dimensional rifts. Anomalies occur due to the rift. You're going to investigate and mitigate them, and then they start to appear. Okay, so it's taking the rift concept and going a bit further with it. And it also mentions how you'll all face them regardless of faction. So yeah, it looks like you will have to work together, and if players die, then the NPCs get points, and if you lose the invasion in the end, it looks like the raid bosses or the world bosses throughout this new zone all become stronger. So it's not something you want to happen if you want to actually deal with these world bosses. So this is really cool. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of this in action. And then we come to the Relic, which is even more progression, pretty much. And those items you saw earlier are what are going to be used for this. So here it talks about how it's a device that can maximize the performance of the equipment worn by using the powers inherited. It's a little different from the concept of grown equipment. So the way it works is, or the way it seems to work is, it doesn't affect in actual equipment, it affects the equipment slot. So whichever slot you decide to upgrade will improve the effectiveness of the weapon that you hold. So if you, in the example here, it talks about how if you were to upgrade the right hand, whatever you slot into your right hand, whatever weapon you use will then be strengthened also. So even if you're using, say, a smack roll, and you have an enhanced hand, you'll do even more damage with it. So this is interesting, and again, if you've maxed out your progression at this point, this gives you something else to do. And it looks like it's going to cost the tokens you get from this zone, along with a bit of gold. How much gold this is going to cost, I don't know, but it looks like the stars here go up to like 70. It could go up even higher, I have no clue. Okay, and here we get the mention of how the cap is now 70, Ancestral 70. There's then talk about a new special merchant that, for the same, or I don't know if it's the same tokens, there might be different tokens, gives away mounts, gliders, pets, and recharges, and much like the other one, it'll change so you can call the star with Control N, and you get 1 free daily product, 100 paid and 100 paid updates. So I don't know if this will come in Unchained, but we'll see. You can maybe think of this like a black market from WoW, I guess. I guess that might be one way to look at it, because you might be able to obtain mounts or gliders that aren't yet in the Diligence store. If this is something that comes in, I don't know. We'll see. And there's some mention of achievement stuff, but you know what? I just want to get to this. This is the fun part, okay? So, hey, you know what? I joke about this, but I'm going to play this a lot. So, there's a new arena coming in. Commemoration of the 8th anniversary. A new event battlefield is being introduced to you. It's based on the rules of Mafia, which, for those of you that haven't played Mafia, if they mention that it's kind of similar to a game called Amon Earth, otherwise known as, I mean, probably better known to some of you as Among Us. So, yeah, they're putting in an Among Us arena, which shouldn't really be a surprise, actually. They've kind of jumped on the Battle Royale trend as well, so they're jumping on the Among Us trend here, which I'm fine with, actually, because I actually really like Among Us. I'm really into doing detective stuff. It's just a lot of fun for me, so this will be interesting. How well this will be integrated, we'll see, but we get some images of what this is going to look like here. There's going to be 8 survivors, so it's an 8-player arena with six crew and 6 or 2 traitors. What are they called Among Us? They called traitors? You know what? Imposters, that's it. That's what they're called. I played a lot of Among Us, and I don't remember that for some reason. But yeah, it's the same concept pretty much, except it's something to do with lighting memorial cakes, and the imposters cursing the cake or something, but also killing. They also have the ability to kill a player instantly as well. So that's how this arena is going to work. It's just going to be like Among Us, and then they'll all come into what I assume this down here is the meeting room, and they all place votes on who they think the imposters are, or maybe they can skip. It doesn't go into too much detail, but I'm definitely going to try this out. But yeah, that is it. That is it for the Gunslinger / new area update. I don't know if all of this is going to come in together. I feel like they are bundling the new area with the Gunslinger, so it'll be really interesting to see, and when it does come out, I will put a video out on all of these different things, including the Among Us arena, because I think that'll just be funny. But yeah, thank you for watching, everyone. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the usual Archeage stuff, YouTube stuff, and yeah, check me out on Twitch. All the usual YouTube stuff, guys. And I'll see you all in the next video.